Welcome back to Dum-Dums and Dragons, where improvisers who've never roleplayed before journey into the world of Dungeons and Dragons. I am the Great Wizard Bukake, your host. Our heroes are outside Baldur's Gate. Before heading out, Gartok blessed the ground outside Assguard's walls, while Butthole and Quinny shared their feelings and then convinced Ginny to take on the role of Prinx and a new nom de thief. Will they be able to find Zabianna, or will Reish Grey get away with their crimes? Find out next on Dum-Dums and Dragons.
Dum-Dums, you find yourselves in the Cloakwood, just south of Baldur's Gate along the Sword Coast. Stepping from the sort of arid desert climate of Akka into a lush forest is a bit of shock to your system. However, you don't feel the same disorientation that you did from the teleportation spell that you had out of Selgon. This feels more like just stepping, or in Ginny's case, tripping through a door. The Cloakwood itself has a light mist coming up off the ground. There aren't a lot of pathways that you can see. You're in sort of dense forest. Looking behind you, you can see sort of natural vines and wood that have been, I think, Gartok, you'd probably be most familiar with this, but shaped into a portal. So it's clearly, if you're just walking by, it would look like an oddly arched natural growth, but it's very clear that this was carefully cultivated and curated to be sort of a living portal. And looking around, you can see some other ones that are broken and that sort of thing, but it's clear that this was made with intent.
Oh, this is so cool. Juniper loves topiary.
So around you are dense trees. You can hear various, forest sounds. You can hear all manner of animals. In the distance, you can see a massive spider moving through the tops of the trees. But otherwise, your map kind of indicates this area, but it is a woods. So it's it's not like there's a clear thing. But you know that Zabianna, the information broker that Vinton Charlemagne's network pointed you towards, is being held somewhere in these woods, and that she is your best lead on Reish Grey. So you find yourselves there. You don't know where where she's being held. You don't know where exactly in the woods she is. What do you do?
We don't know what she looks like.
Nope.
My first thought was originally to climb up to the tippy top of the trees to like get a lay of the land, but there's a giant fucking spider up there, so never mind.
Well, it's not directly above you. It's like a few canopies over, but there's a giant fucking spider, and there's, like mice. There's never just one giant fucking spider.
Right. Yeah.
Quinny, you want to go up a tree and figure out where we should go? Butthole's unlimbering his hammer and his shield. Goblin Jr.'s there because it's the woods. Why not? If you can figure out a direction of anything, we could just go see what we can find.
Yeah, I did, but check that out. I just point to the massive spider.
Oh, yeah, but it's over there, and you're pretty sneaky.
Ginny goes up the tree.
Rule number one, as Quinny starts to climb up after her.
I'm still close. So go ahead and roll me an athletics, please.
Athletics. Does second story work come into this? I can't remember.
Yeah, I'd take second story work for this. I wouldn't originally, but I think based on all the places you've been, it would make sense that those skills would transfer.
Climbing no longer takes extra movement. Add dex mod to the length of a jump. That's all. So
I'd say you can add dex mod to your athletics for that then.
Oh, well, that becomes supremely helpful because my athletics with strength is -1. My athletics with dex will be +5 for a total of 13.
13. Ginny is quick. She's up the tree first. She's moving stealthily but quickly, sort of up through the trees. You realize as you sort of track her up the tree that there are going to be specific things that she's going to be excellent at because her world was so small that the only climb experience you could get in Quintown was trees. Similarly, when she was in Woodbury, it's like trees everywhere. So very easy to get up. So anyway, the two of you kind of make it up to the top of the tree at roughly the same time. Looking around, it's fairly heavy tree cover. You can see beyond the woods, kind of off in the distance, the sort of bloated crescent moon of Baldur's Gate further up the coast. It's just against the horizon. It's not like it's super close, but you can certainly see it beyond the woods. In terms of the woods themselves, it's sort of I'd say probably midday at this point. You guys ran around, did a bunch of stuff. You slept overnight, left, kind of prepared your gear and left in the morning was probably getting the actual gear together and then leaving. Yeah. So sort of not high noon or anything, but sort of early afternoon. Mm-hmm. That said, you can see smoke rising from a little bit northeast of you.
Okay, so Quinny knows that, but he's going to, Ginny was so keen to get up here. He's like, all right, so what do you see, smarty?
Not much. She adjusts the mask a bit and is like, and in fact, she takes the mask off. She's like, I really got to get those eye holes bigger. I was mostly looking for spiders like the one we saw. I was wondering if maybe she was taken by spiders, but oh shit, is that Baldur's Gate? Okay, that's cool. So there's a city over there. We should know about that.
We do. We know. It's Baldur's Gate.
That's what I see.
That's okay. How about over there? And I point to the smoke.
Well, yeah, that's just, oh shit, smoke is weird in the forest. Yeah, there's smoke.
And
she got a 7 on her perception. So
And Zabianna was, last seen outside of Baldur's Gate. So what direction is that smoke in?
Northeast.
Yeah, good. All right. Calm down. Let the group know. If you're scouting ahead, you let them know what you found.
Oh, okay. Do I have to do it in any particular way? Is there she's a little bit bashful. She's like, is there a cool way to do it? Or do I just tell them?
Just tell them. It's just clear and concise. It's when it's information, don't try to style it. Yeah.
Okay. That's good to know. I always, want to know where to put the flare, but without fucking things up. So, okay.
It'll be an instinct kind of thing.
Okay. Just trip through that fucking portal. So I'm worried. My instincts are obviously grumbles to herself as she climbs back down through the trees. And then when she's close enough to the ground, she drops into a little Black Widow pose, but it's really from a foot up. It's not a very...
Quinny's she's getting it.
Yeah. And then she does the Batman rise where the cloak kind of comes up around her.
Oh, fuck yeah, she's getting it.
And says, we saw smoke to the northeast, possibly where Zabianna is being held. Also, we saw Baldur's Gate to the north, possibly where Baldur's Gate is.
Where everything else, yes, is, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't see any more spiders.
How far away was the smoke?
And she's like, a little ways, kind of that-ish way. And she holds out an arm.
But how far away?
Well, in feet or meters or?
I don't know. How long do you think it would take to get there?
When someone asks you how far away something is, it's kind of dealer's choice. Just whatever you feel like communicating the distance in.
Okay. I think it that way, probably, 10, 15 minutes if we're making our way through the trees. And then she looks at the actual state of the forest. And she's like, oh, but there's not really any paths, so that might take longer.
All right, let's start out because not to be rude, but I think it's however long it takes, we just got to walk.
Just go in that direction,
yeah.
So we can do that. Gartok, you're kind of clever at plants. Is there a specific way to figure out, is there a way to make this easier? Can you make plants be more of our friend?
Plants just got to do what plants do, I can make them grow thicker. I don't think that's what we want.
Yeah, let's not do that.
I'm more about growing plants rather than destroying or diminishing them.
Okay. So,
I've got something for that though.
Oh, what do you got?
Plant Destroyer, level 3.
Level 4 Blight.
Oh,
So,
damn.
But I don't think it's appropriate just now. Because it's a creature of my choice, but you can also target a plant creature, or you can target a non-magical plant that isn't a creature, such as a tree or a shrub. It doesn't make a saving throw. It simply withers and dies. So it's one thing.
It's that meme of the lightning bolt hitting the water where it's fuck that one fish specifically.
Yeah.
Okay, well, can I get survival checks then, please, to see kind of how well you navigate the...
I was going to say, oh no, it's only extreme temperature.
It's only extreme.
11.
11?
19 for Quinny.
Okay.
15 for
roll Ginny as well,
Butthole.
huh? Okay, so Quinny and Butthole, you're pretty good at this. Butthole, I think, honestly, just based on your size, it's less a matter of being able to, like, clamber over things and more if you just need to move things, you can kind of, like, muscle them out of the way a bit. Quinny, obviously, you're just doing the Assassin's Creed 3, like, Connor-style forest parkour.
Yeah.
Gartok and Ginny.
Sorry, Gartok's going to do the 1 hour transformation that allows him to transform his entire chair into basically he's still Gartok, so it's almost like he's absorbing the chair.
Oh, yeah.
So
okay.
he can walk around.
Yeah.
Because he can only do that once a day and only lasts an hour, and it's like, it sucks.
Oh,
so
the transformation doesn't take an hour.
No.
Okay, I was going to say.
He's transformed for an hour.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it sucks, but it'd just be like, just so
Gotcha.
he can actually like move through narrower spaces a little bit easier.
Yeah, okay. So you absorb the chair and gain your hour. And yeah, Ginny is also just having a difficult time because she's used to this kind of terrain, but I don't think she's never had to do tracking at distance. She's done close range tracking, but also a lot of her stuff was like the undead who were not stealthy. They were just
Tracking one kind of creature.
shambling around and kind of bumping
As
into
much
things.
following it as tracking it. Yeah.
So she'll be lagging behind a little bit, but still making her way. So with, again, a bit of difficulty, the four of you are able to move forward. If you encounter things like spiders along the way, giant spiders along the way, is there anything you'd be doing to just handle that without having to fight them?
I think just advanced warning system kind of thing of like, if Quinny's up in those trees, he is watching for webbing and being very mindful of his footfalls for like vibrations through branches.
Okay. Can you give me perception then, please?
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Quinny is focusing too much on Ginny. Perception is a 9.
9. You know what? You roll again because Ginny would be helping you with this, so I think that would give you advantage.
Gives me advantage, okay.
She's not as good at it, but she might be good at pointing things out to you that you would then parse.
It's a 17 then.
17, okay. All right, so I'm good to say then that you're able to keep an eye out. Again, like the spiders this isn't like a Shelob scenario where they're like, we must kill you. They just are natural creatures that are in their habitat, so being able to be mindful of it with Ginny's help, I think, is useful. And honestly, Quinny, for you, it's helpful to have another pair of eyes that is also stealthy and like Reginald kind of fits the bill, except he just isn't. He wears armor, so it's like he has the right paranoia and the right awareness, but his physical presence ruins everything you'd want to do. So having someone else who's kind of like helping you spot is helpful. Okay, so that you're able to avoid the sort of natural risks of the area. That said, you can certainly hear creatures moving further out in the woods, and like the lack of paths is very clear to you that like these are dangerous woods. They're not.
There's no camping going on here.
No, and there's no foot traffic. Like this isn't a like, oh, just go for a
There
little.
aren't a lot of like deer and other animals making regular paths because they're like safe and have well-worn.
No, they're up in the trees and the wrapped in webs, being drained of their blood. Yeah, so
Nice.
A lot of creatures, but a hostile environment.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. But after some time, I think, Quinny, if you're continuing to go up the trees, you're definitely close enough to the smoke that it's time to get a little bit stealthy. How do you want to kind of recon this camp?
Given that it seems like Ginny is like, she's thinking about every little thing like too much. You know, like how far away is it? Well, what unit of measurements do you want to use? Like, whoa, no, you're overthinking it, Ginny. That's like cool it out a little. So I think for this next part, he would instruct Ginny to stay with the group. I'm going to go check this one out alone and then proceed through. Yeah, I think it's still through the treetops. No, you know what? He'll do this one along the ground, but like between trees and stuff like that and through underbrush and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead and roll me, God help me, a stealth check, please.
18. So 33.
33. Okay. So Quinny, you begin to advance as the rest of the group kind of hangs back quietly. Again, for all of you now, this is pretty standard procedure, so it's not like any of you have to really struggle to pick up what's going on here. You make your way through the trees, stealthily approaching a small area that has been cleared out a bit. You can see that almost not a burn, but like the equivalent of a slash and burn, like a quick clear the ground around this area. And you see there's one large central tree. The area seems to have been cleared, and sorry, I should say slash and burn, not recently, but at some point. So this would have been a war camp that had been set up at some point in the past, and just never grew back because the earth was appropriately salted, I guess. There's a big central tree that provides some shade and cover. Big, thick tree, kind of several arm lengths around. So it would take a bunch of you hugging it to get around it. Big, beautiful branches, just kind of creating a shady patch, but the ground around it's been cleared. There was a large cart, closed sort of carriage wagon that has been parked. It has sort of what's the term I'm looking for here? Bridling, I guess. Whatever you would attach to a
bridling.
Bridling to a pack animal is kind of like on the ground. There's no animal attached to it right now. And it has just in large sort of curling script in a very faded painted way, but it just says Rafe Stone, and underneath in more serious letters, Monster Hunter. Atop the carriage, there's a bit of that circus, kind of like the side of a circus cart. It's almost like Greco-Roman ornamentation you see at the top of a temple, like those just sort of little soft curves down it to make it look a little fancy. Quinny, also to your chagrin, you can see a big fucking gun up there, like a crank-mounted...
Up in this big central tree?
No, sorry, on top of the cart.
On top of the cart, sorry.
There's a crank-mounted, multi-barreled black powder weapon.
Okay.
It's certainly not 2099 tech or anything. It's like a Faerun appropriate sort of auto gun kind of situation, Wild West style, where you just crank the minigun situation. Beside the cart, there is an old bench that's been set up, and a fire, which is obviously where the smoke is coming from. The fire is purple and glows with kind of ethereal energy. And the closer you get, the smoke is overwhelming in the way that walking into, this is a Canadian pull, but any bulk place, like you walk into a bulk barn and you're just assaulted by spices. Mm-hmm. It's that kind of sense. Or if you walk through like a spice market where it's just like all manner of different smells cascading off of this purple flame. And rising through the air. It doesn't hurt you. It's just a lot. There is a small sort of roasting spit set up over the fire, and you can see a proper kebab situation going on. Just a bunch of vegetables and some meat. There is a bedroll set up on the other side of the fire that seems to have just been rolled out. And there is a man sitting on the bench, sort of turning the kebab over the fire, probably the aforementioned Rafe Stone. And he is wearing a long coat, many pockets, a lot of holsters, very like over-equipped hunter in a game kind of situation. Like he's got like the stake strapped to his thigh. He's got weird, kooky Tim Burton Sleepy Hollow glasses on with just like too many extra lenses and shit. He's got big mutton chops that kind of come down into two spikes, but otherwise he's got a shaved chin, just sort of a small sharp nose. Hair is sort of like swooped back with a bandana to kind of keep it out of his eyes. And beyond him and the cart sort of looping around the tree, you can see he has a number of cages attached to his wagon. So from here you can't see all of them because of the tree, and a few of them have sheets over them. But they all seem to be attached kind of by chain link to the back of the wagon. And in the only one you can see, because to see all of this, you're coming from the south, so that makes sense. From where you're coming, you can see only one of these clearly. One is one's got a sheet over, but you can tell there are others behind the tree. You can't see from this angle. The one you can see is a big murky tank of water with kind of an iron cap on top of it. And iron reinforcement kind of throughout, and you're seeing that same filigree from the central cart reflected here. It's very clearly the motif, and every so often something seems to bump around in the murky water. From the tree is hanging a massive bird cage that similarly has a sheet over it, and he seems to be in conversation with a square cage, sort of a large person-sized cage near him by the fire as he roasts the spit. So with your 33, you can get pretty close to this, and you hear him say, yes, well, it's impressive that you're considering all of these things and trying to become wise to the ways of the world, but you need to understand that you are a monster, and as a result, your goal, your purpose is to be gawked at or hunted. It is amusing to me that you are thinking about the nature of your existence, but that is pointless. Your existence will either end in this cage or on the end of my blade. But good for you for having such deep thoughts. And you hear the cage rattle and a voice go, and he says, oh, yes, blah, 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 blah. And he continues to roast the spit.
Okay. Taking all of that in, yikes. Well, the letter from Vinton did specify that Zabianna had been possibly or likely last seen with a monster hunter or had been kidnapped by a monster hunter. So this seems like we've hit like the bullseye on this. So I think Quinny would want to start at least by talking to this guy with all of our most diplomatic and charismatic people in tow. So he's going to sneak away back into out of the clearing back into the woods with the rest of the group.
Do you want me another stealth check, please?
Yeah. 27.
27? Okay. Yeah, that's fine. You make your way back to the rest of the group.
Okay. And once Quinny returns, in a low voice, he'll say, "Okay, someone's over there. Someone most likely by the name of Rafe. Rafe Stone. He's a monster hunter, and
How do you know his name?
it's the name on his cart.
Oh, okay.
He's
That
the
makes
only
more
one
sense.
there,
Okay.
and he's got a bunch of cages. I can't tell what's in any of them. One of them's like a big fish tank, but I can't see what's in there. But it's bumping around, and he's talking to some creature in a cage. I think it might be Zabianna. I don't know who or what Zabianna is, but he is talking to someone and is calling them a monster, even though they're trying to, I don't know, think or have agency or something. I didn't catch all of it, but he's got a lot of guns and a lot of anti-monster tools. I would guess out here in the woods by himself, all those cage monsters, he might be a little jumpy. So I don't know. What do you think? Do you just want to do your thing, just traipsing through the woods? Hello, new friend, or?
I mean, my gut says
I don't think we can all sneak up on him.
Yeah,
Sorry to
no.
you two. I just don't think.
I'm not going to be good at that.
Go.
My thought is approach with new friend, cover ass at same time. If Goblin Jr. and I and Gartok approach through the hello, new friend, see how it goes, see how this person is doing, we can have a conversation and see how it goes. If they have guns and randomly attack us, if you and Ginny can sneak around behind and get the drop on them, if things get bad one way or another, then we kind of have an ace in the hole.
Okay.
Does that feel right? I don't know. Is that
No.
sneaky and evil, or is that clever?
No, that sounds like putting your best foot forward with the second foot, ready to kick him in the nuts. So yeah, give us 10 minutes.
Okay.
Do
Yeah.
a wide circle around, and then you come straight up, and I'll just point the way that I came. Like you come straight up that way.
Great. I'll like sing a song while we walk and stuff, so it won't startle Rafe, and then we can see how he approaches.
Okay. Again, big fucking gun on his cart. If you hear big gun sounds, hit the deck.
Will do.
Cool. Ginny, come on.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go. All right. She gets a good stealth check, so she can. But I won't make you roll again because you're
Plus 15.
Quinny. Yeah. So, the only way to fail the stealth check is if someone near you fails the stealth check.
Yeah.
Great.
That's
so,
generally how that goes.
Yeah. Okay. So the two of you take your time looping around. Butthole and Gartok, you're going to approach from the front, correct?
Yeah, I mean, Gartok, is there any specific strategy you want to have for this conversation? Usually I just kind of feel it out and see where it's going.
Yeah, I'm honestly happy to come in with a smile and a friendly wave to support your hello, new friend type introduction.
Great. I'll keep the hammer on my back, but I'll keep the shield in my hand. You know,
Do you want me to introduce you formally like I did in Selgot?
Do you think that'd help or hurt? What's your vibe? I feel like you're a goblet of the people.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, honestly, walking through the woods, it might not impress this guy that you're a king.
Yeah, it might kind of make us seem dickish if we bump into a guy by a tree and
He'd
we're
be
like,
like,
time
king
for a
of
speech.
what? You're walking through the woods.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I think we've gamed this out appropriately.
All right.
We'll just chat. We're just friends. We're in the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah. Takes his simple crown off, puts it in a bag. He's like, I don't need to wear a crown here. It's weird to wear a crown in the woods.
All right.
All
I
right.
can go back into my chair.
Up to you. Whatever's comfortable for you, buddy.
Now I'll keep walking.
All righty. Going through the woods, having a time. Maybe we'll meet a friend. He sings loudly
New
as he
friend.
wanders. Yeah.
And you hear a moan from the kid. You go,
Oh.
Is it a new friend up ahead?
Is someone hurt?
and you hear, no, be not afeared, but also, can you state your name and purpose?
Sure. I
Be you monster hunters?
no.
Nope.
Where are you? He's
Can you
just
roll a
looking at
persuasion check?
trees.
Me too. Just
No,
him.
just him. He said he wasn't a monster hunter.
16.
16? Okay, he says, okay, can you prove you're not a monster hunter?
I mean, I'm a king, so I kind of do that full time.
Wait, you're a king in the random woods?
Yeah, I know it's unlikely, but once portals get involved, anything's possible.
Okay, so, that's just strange enough for me to believe it. Okay, yep, you step closer to my campfire of protection. Otherwise, you run the risk of all manner of nasty beasties finding you.
Oh, I don't want nasty beasties, so he'll just head
No.
towards the voice.
Yep. So you enter the clearing. You see what Quinny saw, except that the monster hunter is now standing with like a rifle pointed, not directly at you, just a little like it's up and ready, but down. He's not pointing at you, but is at the ready. And he just says, "State your name and business, please."
I'm Butthole Farch, and this is
I'm Gartok. Hello.
and we're just traveling through the woods. We going on adventures, that kind of thing. I mean, what are you doing here?
Don't you see, Butthole? This is the famed Rafe Stone, monster hunter. Right?
Charming grin runs a hand back through his hair. He says, "I see you've heard of me. Yes, indeed I am. Raphael Rafe Stone, monster hunter.
Oh, that's cool.
You will forgive my lack of manners in this particular regard. I'm just concerned that you are after my quarry.
What quarry are you after?
These monsters," and he gestures broadly to the crates, while still keeping his finger on the trigger. Like he's not one of those like movie villains who takes their hand off the gun constantly.
Yeah, it seems like you got them already, man. I don't want to take your stuff. I'm not a
Good.
thief.
And
That's-
we certainly wouldn't underestimate you. We know that you're very capable, having captured all of these monsters.
I mean, this isn't deception. Can you roll persuasion?
Sure.
17.
17. He's an easy mark. He smiles and says, "Yes, very good. Well, you have chosen tremendously strange places to adventure new friends. But you may join me by my fire. I have infused it with all manner of alchemical ingredients to keep the monsters away. You may notice a smell on the air. I have overwhelmed their bestial senses with my variety of spices. A melange, if you will, that keeps the monsters at bay. You are safe at my camp.
Thank you.
For a small fee.
How much is the fee?
How much you got? You know what? I'm feeling generous. And after all, you are royalty. And who am I to deny a fan? He throws a wink at Gartok. Says, we'll call it 20 gold.
20 gold. Okay, I have 50 silver on me. That's it. I could give you some torches.
And he looks at the cage in front of him and says, this one has a particular predilection against torches, something about too many villagers wielding them. So yes, 50 silver and your torches will be great.
Okay.
And he rifle butts the cage in front of him. He says, do you hear that, you large patchwork monstrosity? Now I've got more torches too. How does that fit your little worldview? And he says, come, please, put the torches, throw them over there by the cart.
Yep, he drops the torches off and he goes, hey, Goblin Jr., I'll pay you back. And he takes Goblin Jr.'s silver and pays the guy.
Be that wolf of magical nature?
No, he's magical to my heart, but he's a wolf.
Does he transform into a mortal being?
I mean, I'm sorry,
No,
I don't understand the question. He is a mortal being.
Are you asking if he's like a werewolf?
Oh, I mean, I would not say that word, but yes, that is what I ask.
No, he's a wolf. He's awesome.
Good. Then I need him to
Yes.
slay him. After all, I already have one of their kind in my little menagerie. And
Hang on, you have a werewolf?
I do.
What werewolf?
That's kind of cool. Can we see it?
Yeah, their
Yeah.
wolf. And he points at the one of the carts behind the tree with the. She always says, "But I must warn you, seeing the collected monstrosities of my collection bears a cost, and it would seem that you're tapped out, given that you only have 50 silver and some torches."
I mean, you got any money?
I got nothing. Do you have any business cards? Perhaps we could pass those along in payment. Do some free promotion for you.
I need no promotion. Even strangers in the woods have heard of Rafe Stone. Quinny, you and Ginny have looped around behind. So now looking in from the back, you see this happening kind of where it is. There are 3 more carts that you weren't able to see. 2 have a regular sheet dropped over them, and one of them has a heavy red velvet sheet dropped over. This is the one that's directly behind the tree. One of the carts, so the cart closest to the water tank one, started bumping around as soon as the talk of werewolves started. So if we want to number these, just so you've got them, if we go... The tree is the Butthole and Gartok have come in from the south. The tree is dead center. At 12 is the red velvet cart.
Oh, okay, so it would be opposite the tree from us, so we wouldn't be able to see.
You can't
one.
see that.
Great.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
So you'd be standing at 6 p.m. The cart is at like 2 p.m. ish. The velvet cart is at high noon. One of the sheet carts that isn't moving is at 11. The cart that's bumping for wolves is at 10.
That's got the tank in it?
A tank is at 9.
Okay.
There's also the cage hanging from the tree, which is probably at around 8, but is, again, not part of the train. It's part of the tree. Mm-hmm. And the fire, bench, bedroll, and box he's talking to are kind of at like a 5 p.m.
So they're kind of opposite spiritually where the carts are on the other side.
Correct.
Of the tree.
They're like southeast. It's clear that he's put enough room between. He's basically put the tree between him and the carts.
Yep, that makes sense. Okay.
For snoozing and conversation.
Yep. So we're over at fire group with him.
Yep.
And he's with us at the fire. Okay.
Yep. And then Ginny and Quinny are at like noon, north of noon, to mix compasses and clocks.
All right. So we're just chatting away. Yeah. Are you guys doing anything?
Yeah. So that's what you see from your vantage point, Quinny. Is there anything you and Ginny would be doing?
Yeah, Quinny would say to Ginny, like, all right, it sounds like Butthole's doing his thing and talking the guy down from blowing us away, so just chill out and let him do that. I would say don't take the covers off of those cages. We don't know what kind of creatures he's got in there. They might be covered for very, very good reasons.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense to me.
We're just going to sit tight. We're going to wait for things to smooth over. And then we can ask, well, Butthole can let us know when it's okay to come out.
Oh, okay.
Here, let's come around this way. And basically, because we've come from the opposite direction, we can't see the group. As they couldn't see the cage covered in that heavy red velvet cloth. Mm-hmm. We can only hear them talking. We can't see them. So that we're not helpful at all in terms of like providing ambush cover. So we would want to probably come around clockwise to meet the group. Still behind Rafe. Mm-hmm. So Rafe is between.
So you're basically at the cart now. So like close enough that you could jump in if you needed to. You can see everything, but
And I would say get your weapons ready, Ginny. What do you have?
And she just pulls out two balanced daggers.
Do you have anything for a longer range?
I've been practicing with throwing daggers. I didn't want to bring anything bulky like a crossbow.
Okay.
So I'll just throw. I also figure you guys are kind of murder machines at this point, so like I can help, but like my job's more to tie them up. I've been watching Goblin Jr. and how he seems to like grant advantage, and I figured I could kind of help with that.
Okay, yeah, good. Here, extra ammo, and I'll give her my 2 daggers that I carry.
Great. Do you give her your lover's dagger? Or
no, I do not. No, I don't want her throwing that shit, our key into the saw, throw that into the woods and be like, fuck. Well, I don't know where that is anymore.
She's like, thanks. You never have too many knives. And she like sticks them like, in inappropriate. She's clearly in the armor that you got her is just like rife with little, like daggers and throwing dart holsters and things. So she just sort of holsters up. And pulls the cloak around her a little bit and sinks into the shadows.
Good. Okay.
Right.
From our conversational perspective, Tom, which cart has the Gatling gun on top of it?
So that is his like carriage, his big. He lives in it carriage. So that one is at kind of like a 2 p.m.
Okay. Just gonna write gun/home. Yeah. There we go.
May I ask what your interest in the lycanthropes are? Truly filthy creatures.
Yes, well, I don't really. There's like 4 in particular that are very bad, and so it would be interesting to know if you've captured one of them, so we could be like, oh, we don't gotta worry about that one anymore.
And his eyes narrow and says, "What know you of the lycans?"
Well, we met a couple. They're pretty decent people. I don't really know what your problem with them is. Like, what's your deal with werewolves?
It's not just werewolves, your highness. It is these creatures. Our world is full of enough dangers without monsters running around. And the bite of one werewolf, you say they're nice people.
Yeah.
Some of them are.
A vector for disease and infection. If they bite you, you become one of them.
I mean, you could say that people are vectors of disease, right?
I concur, but unfortunately it is frowned upon to do what I do with these monsters with normal people. But
so how do you define a monster as opposed to a person?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Well,
I mean, you're the monster hunter, so
pulls
clearly
out
you're an
a
expert.
tome and he says, "This grimoire covers many of the monsters of the realms. My kind have used this to hunt forever." And it just slams it down. And it's basically almost like a book of fairy tales. Like it's just a big, heavy leather tome. And so he opens it to...
Is this the latest edition?
As far as I know, monsters are timeless enough to not require updates. But he kind of like gets a log. But if you flip to the back, there are some blank pages. And he's drawn some very crude stick figures of like things he thinks he's seen. There's like one that, like when a kid tries to draw a cat and it's just generally like a bunch of lumpy things. So he's written that. He's drawn that and he's written Chupacabra under it. And then he like flips to another page and he's drawn like a vampire with bigger teeth and he's written worse vampire ? And then he just says, so, we monster hunters can add the various creatures we encounter throughout the world. He's drawn up just a square for the gelatinous cube with like a sad face on it. And he's like, so we don't need new additions. We add it and then we share our knowledge. But lycans are incredibly dangerous. If they bite you, you become a werewolf. And unless you can hunt the alpha wolf, then you end up with the infection yourself. And when the moon rises, uncontrolled fury and instinct take over. This is like having bombs walking around the cities. We cannot have it.
A quick question before we continue the conversation, Tom. When he flipped through the book, Butthole is very curious to see what this book says a monster is, because we've got friends who are outside of norm. What kind of stuff did he see as the guy was flipping through the pages? I'm happy to do a roll if you want. I want to figure out. Butthole's kind of like, this guy's a speciest and probably a piece of shit, but he wants to know how shitty.
Yeah, he flips really quickly because he knows exactly what he's going for. So I'm going to need perception, and you'll need to roll pretty high.
That is a 12.
12. Okay, so you're not able to see it because he literally did that thing people do with big books where he just jammed his hand into the appropriate side and flipped it. That said, if you can convince him to show you the book, you could get a better sense of how he's defining monsters.
Okay, yeah, no, it's tricky because the bombs would then be in people who didn't necessarily deserve it, so I would lean towards a disarming. But, I'm really curious because it seems like there's a lot of monsters, and I'd always thought there were just, a few.
Well, what monsters are you aware of?
That's a good question.
I mean, some people think beholders are monsters, although Glorp was pretty nice.
Yeah, so is a beholder a monster?
Oh, very much so. They are very smart.
Okay.
But they are monstrous.
Is a lich a monster?
That's a difficult one. I tend to think of monsters more as natural occurrences. Liches are terrible, and to be clear, I would love to empty Lucille up there into one of them. But that's usually, in my understanding, a person who has decided just to be a real dick over time and then gets more and more evil. And that's kind of like a supervillain situation. I think you're adventurers. You deal with that sort of shit. I'm more concerned about the natural monsters, the ones that are just born into this world to wander around and cause chaos and murder. I'll leave the breaking of phylacteries and whatnot to you people.
So what if there's a borderline one, somebody stitched together a bunch of body parts and then brought it to life? Would that be a monster? Or is that a natural
yes,
occurrence?
That's what I'm just talking to right here. And he pulls the rope off the box, and you see a full Frankenstein monster sitting in there, covered in wounds, just sort of in tattered rags. Big classic Frankenstein monster, just kind of knees up around his chest. Sitting there looking kind of despondent. He says, some scientist claimed he'd heard of a Moreau who apparently was quite good at stitching things together. So they tried their hand and used electricity, of all things, to bring this monstrosity to life. And would you believe it? And he goes over to the fire and just plucks a page off the edge of it. Says, the thing was trying to teach itself to write and read, as though it has thoughts that we should pay any attention to, any mind to whatsoever. It's a monstrosity.
Did the monster succeed in writing?
If you can call that writing.
Can I see it?
He hands you the edge of a burned page, and it is it's written in a jagged script as a creature that is piecing together language and writing on its own would do. But it's clearly writing thoughts, and it's you can see just the edge of I feel. The rest of the page is burnt.
I hate to break it to you, but I think the monster may have succeeded in writing.
But did it succeed in not being a monster? Answer's no. Trick question. So
that's a really good point. You are super capable, and you've got a really specific take on the world, and I really admire that. And the thing that I admire perhaps most of all is that you're blind now, and I want to cast blindness and deafness on this guy. I need him to make a Constitution saving throw.
Okay. That's 6 plus stuff, so I would say no.
Yeah, it's DC 18. So this target is now blind.
Okay.
And I am hefting a hammer. But you want to roll initiative now? How do you want to do this? It's up to you.
He goes, wait, what? And then suddenly you just see a blast of light behind his multifaceted glasses. And he just goes, oh, fuck! And raises his rifle. You guys both drop into fighting stances. And in the cage, the Frankenstein monster just goes, oh! And starts- Let's roll initiative.
This episode of Dum-Dums and Dragons features the voices of Ryan LaPlante at the Ryan LaPlante on Twitter, Tyler Hewitt at Tyler_Hewitt on Twitter, Laura Hamstra at EL Hamstring on Twitter, and our DM Tom McGee at McGeeTD on Twitter. This episode's sound was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and Dum-Dums and Dragons artwork is by Del Borovic, who can be found at delborovic.com. Our theme songs are And Now for That Massive Coronary and Skipping Through the Orchestra Pit Part 1 by Peter Gresser, and our ad music is No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR, all available at freemusicarchive.org. When it comes to Dum-Dums and Dice, you can visit our website at dumdumdice.com. Our Twitter and Instagram are at dumdumdice, and on Facebook at facebook.com/dumdumdice. But most importantly, we've got merchandise at redbubble.com/people/dumdumdice, or you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/dumdumdice. That's DUMBDICE. And tune in next week for more Dum-Dums and Dragons. Dum-Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time: Christopher Little, George Dolby, Richard Cranium, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Logan, Fire Unfriendly, Grandma Likes D&D, Alan, Stabby Stranger, Glitch Trick, Flynn1138, Alarain Okapi, Schrodinger's Pepper, Madre de Gatos, Lady Maiden, Garbo Ape, Locke, Sam Schaefer, Waffle Marine, Dagger Rain, Rob L, Dia De Los Hoodless, Squishy Werewolf, Remy Funky Head, Accent Therapeutic Services in Florence, Kentucky, Lael, Shulzari, The Long Family, Jordan Oliver, Richard Wright, Brittany Fenwick, Alex Parr, Old Man Mojo, Dragonfly, The Body Barrelers, Megan Werner, A Man Out of Time, Curtis at FingerTechRobotics.com, Panda24NN, Shendra D, Your Homeboy Bones, The Gator Family, Ellis Hatch, Odigenous, Dan the Welshman, Afflicto Gaming, Aiden, Beef Not Cheese, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.